What's really happening in Burkina Faso? Right now, Burkina Faso, a small West African nation, is making big global headlines. Coup attempts, terrorist attacks, a young military leader accused of selling gold to survive, protests in the capital, Russian flags in the air, and angry words aimed at the US. But underneath all this chaos lies a much deeper story, one about power, survival, and the future of Africa. So what's really going on in Burkina Faso? Why does it matter? And is this the beginning of a revolution or a descent into crisis? Let's break it all down. Where is Burkina Faso and why is it struggling? Burkina Faso is a landlocked country in West Africa, surrounded by Mali, Niger, Ghana, and a few others. It's home to over 22 million people and is rich in gold, its most valuable export. But since 2015, these groups have taken over villages, blocked roads, bombed schools, and killed thousands. In some regions, the government has lost total control. Over 2 million people have been forced to flee their homes. More than 60% of the country is too dangerous for normal life. Burkina Faso has been under attack by jihadist groups linked to ISIS and al-Qaeda. That's the backdrop, and it's what led to a military takeover. Who is Captain Ibrahim Traoré? In September 2022, a young army officer named Captain Ibrahim Traoré led a coup. He was just 34 years old. Traoré promised to take back the country from terrorists and return power to the people. But almost 3 years later, the violence hasn't stopped, and the politics are getting even more complicated. Traoré presents himself as a Pan-African hero, rejecting foreign control, especially from France and the West. His message: Burkina Faso must stand on its own, but not everyone agrees with his methods or his allies. The failed coup and rallies in the capital. In April 2025, the junta said it stopped a major coup plot. The plan, they claimed, came from neighboring Ivory Coast. This announcement sparked massive rallies in the capital, Ouagadougou. Thousands marched through the streets, waving Burkina Faso and Russian flags. They held up signs showing the US General Michael Langley with the word slave written on his head in red marker. The anger was aimed at recent comments by the US military. General Langley accused Traoré of using the country's gold to enrich the junta instead of helping the people. The response? Outrage. Because for many in Burkina Faso, Traoré isn't a thief. He's a symbol of independence, the hidden war zones. But outside the capital, the reality is brutal. In the north, towns like Djibo have been under siege for months. Jihadists have surrounded the area, cutting off food, medicine, and aid. Locals call the road leading there the highway of death. Humanitarian groups say over 2 million people are displaced across the country. Entire communities have disappeared. Children are out of school. Hunger is spreading fast. And in some areas, civilians say they'd rather deal with terrorists than starve while waiting for the government. Who controls Burkina Faso's gold? Burkina Faso is one of Africa's top gold producers, and this gold is now at the center of a global tug-of-war. France used to be the main economic partner, not anymore. Under Traoré, Burkina Faso has kicked out French troops, suspended aid from the West, and turned to Russia. There are growing reports that Russian Wagner mercenaries are now active in the country, protecting mines and training forces. In return, Russia may be receiving access to gold and mineral contracts, just like in Mali and the Central African Republic. A new alliance, AES. In 2024, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger quit ECOWAS, the West African Economic Bloc, and formed a new group, the Alliance of Sahel States, or AES. Their goal: military cooperation, self-defense, and reduced reliance on the West. Together, these three military governments are rejecting sanctions, rejecting foreign troops, and trying to build a new Pan-African identity, with Russia and China offering support from the sidelines. It's a radical political experiment, but whether it leads to stability or more chaos remains to be seen. How the people are surviving in the middle of this geopolitical storm are real people: farmers, teachers, families, people who've lost everything, villages where no aid has arrived in over a year, schools where students are too afraid to return, markets that are empty, and towns that live in total fear of bombs or raids. In the cities there's hope, but in the countryside it's all about survival. Many people still support Traoré because they believe he's trying to fix a broken system, but others quietly wonder if they're just trapped between terrorists and another military strongman. Why the world should pay attention? Burkina Faso is more than just another African crisis. It's a preview of something much bigger. What happens when foreign powers pull out and local leaders turn to new allies? What happens when people are so desperate for safety They welcome soldiers instead of ballots. This is a country where every side, terrorists, soldiers, politicians, and foreign governments, says they're protecting the people. But in reality, the people are just trying to survive. So before we ignore another headline about trouble in West Africa, remember this story is still unfolding, and what happens next might shape the future of the entire region. What do you think? Is Traoré a revolutionary or a dictator in disguise? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more global breakdowns like this. Next up, what's going on in Niger and why did they also kick out Western troops?